Check it out, we rapping for the Texans. Little weed and Crenshaw Bridge, we flexing. Houston rap style, we bringing the heat. Talking Texas football, nothing compete. Got the best podcast, the loudest in the game. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Remember the name. We talking draft picks, we talking defense. We break it all down, no nonsense. H-Town, Victor Run Showdown. On the mic, talking Texas football. Every Wednesday night, with special guests dropping knowledge, taking the stage. Oh, digging in Crenshaw Briggs, we holding it down in the H-Town, wiping it down. Talking touchdowns in H-Town. Houston culture, we holding it down. Talking news and rumors, keeping it real. No filter, we got the Texans appeal. In the Lone Star City, we're living it up. Talking all things Texas, we can't get enough. From the football field to the concrete jungle, we're repping H-Town. Ain't nothing mama, bitch.
Yo. Welcome to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. We got a special guest tonight. Before I introduce him, introduce you to my amazing trio. We got Mr. Bo Diggity 713. Say what's up to the folks.
Hey, yo, what's good, y'all, man? What's happening?
What's happening? And we got my A1 since day one, Mr. Matthew Briggs.
Let's go. I'm excited for this one.
Yes, sir. We got a special guest tonight. Former Houston Texans, former Detroit Lions. We got Mr. GQ himself, Glover Quin.
What is up, fellas?
What's up?
Hey,
What's up,
I
man?
just want to let you know Zach Giles hyped you up last week, so you have a lot of hype to live up to.
Zach That's my guy.
Oh man, well, welcome to the show, Mr. Glover. Glad you're on, man. It's always good to talk to a guy that played for organization, played at a high level, and it's great to talk about Coach. You played with Coach. You could give us some ins and outs about Coach, and things you've seen on the field or the locker room or the personal side about Coach that we don't know about that you could share with us. So we're gonna jump right into that right there.
Bet.
Go ahead, here's off.
You hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're just gonna jump right into about Coach Ryans, man. Just tell us some things about Coach Ryans that maybe we don't know or the fans don't know that's listening and watching.
Man, I don't know if I have anything that the fans don't know. I think everybody says probably the same thing about D'Amico, that know D'Amico, that played with D'Amico. I mean, he was one of the guys that, when I got there in 2009, I think D'Amico was already in like year 4 or 5 or whatever, right? He was the captain. He was the guy. I mean, his presence on the field, his presence at practice, his presence in the locker room, in the cafeteria, everything was just high level. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody coming in to the NFL, being able to see how he conducted his business, how he went about his business, how he did his thing was like, wow, okay, this is like a pro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this dude right here is a pro. And so for me, being able to be in the same meeting rooms with him on the defensive side of the ball, be on the same, side of the ball with him on the field, playing in the games, it was just a super cool thing for me. And like I said, I felt so young, and I felt like, man, like it was cool for D'Amico to talk to me, because when you're a rookie and you come in and you got these older guys, they're vets. I don't want to say it's not like a starstruck type of thing, but it's kind of like a respect thing. You want to earn a respect from those guys, because like, why else would they talk to me? Just because I'm on the team? Like, you want to earn like their respect, and that's kind of how it was for me, and that's kind of how we clicked and we vibed, because I was a worker, I was a smart guy, practiced hard, and D'Amico was the same way. He wasn't trying to skimp out of anything. Nah, he didn't like conditioning. You know what I'm saying? He ain't like conditioning. I will tell you that. But he would do it. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't think I have anything like that y'all don't know. I mean, I think everybody would say those same things about D'Amico as far as his ability to lead, how smart he was. We would be in games, and D'Amico would check a play. You know, we'll have a defensive play called, and you know, we might have an all-out blitz or something called, and Peyton Manning might spot it. D'Amico will start checking the play. You know what I'm saying? Getting everybody into a different play. And, you know, he was willing to make those calls, and he was also willing to, you know, back it up on the sideline when coach asks, you know, why you checking the plays? You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times you need that, somebody that's, you know, out there playing the game, but they're also man enough to you know, say what they believe in and why they did what they did. And most of the time, coaches don't really challenge certain things. If you're doing
What you think's
hard
right?
things
Yeah.
and you have a reason as to why you're doing it. And if you can get everybody on the same page, hey man, we
And,
can survive.
and for what it seems like, you know, if D'Amico spoke, it spoke volumes, right? Like
Oh yeah.
if he spoke, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it.
You know, and he was just one of those guys. You felt like he was a part of the team. You didn't feel like he worked for management and, you know, was just trying to, you know, throw players under the bus, or like you felt like, you know what I'm saying, D'Amico got my back. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the feeling that he had. He wasn't afraid to say the tough things or to have the tough conversations with the coaches or with the upper people. And you didn't feel like Miko's up there throwing me under the bus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just a lot of respect for D'Amico. And like I said, for me to see that coming in as a young guy, being able to play with D'Amico for 3 years, it was just great for me to learn from and, you know, take some of those things and the leadership and all that stuff with me throughout the rest of my career.
Okay, last year, I saw you at the press conference when they introduced D'Amico. So okay, first, when was the last time you came to the stadium? And second, when did you know, hey, I need to fly to Houston to go watch this right here?
Well, first of all, I live in Houston.
Obviously, you still live in Houston. Okay.
Yeah, I live
Okay.
here. I live on the west side, Richmond, Katy, Fulshire
Okay.
area.
For sure.
The last time I went to the stadium would have been 2020 one maybe. 2021. I think it was a game in like December or something. I think the Texans played against the Colts, I think. I was coaching my son's little league youth football team, and you know we had finished our season. We had won the Super Bowl. The guys had played great throughout the year, man, and I felt like I wanted to reward them and take them to a Texans game. You know what I'm saying? Because living out here on this side of town, you know, playing in the Richmond, Rosenberg area, I mean, some of those kids never get to go to a Texans game. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I just kind of felt like, you know what? These guys been working hard. I want to get them to a Texans game. So I reached out to the ticket people and we was able to get like, you know, a good group rate or whatever. So I bought the whole team tickets and me and the coaches, we kind of took the guys down. And I think David Culley was still the head coach at that time. So that's why I think it was 2021 because I think Lovey would have been 2022 and then D'Amico came 2023. So yeah, I think it was 2021 right after COVID. So yeah, that was the last time that I had been to the stadium. I mean, and then when they hired D'Amico, it just kind of felt like Houston football the way I remembered it. I didn't feel, just living here in the city, or not necessarily in the city, but living here in the area, I didn't feel the connection with David Culley. I didn't feel the connection with Lovie Smith. I didn't really feel any of those things, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not a huge Lovie Smith fan anyway, but I just didn't feel the connection with the city. I think Houston is a great, young, vibrant, city. And I just felt like David Culley's energy didn't match Houston. And I didn't feel like Lovie Smith's energy matched Houston. But when they hired D'Amico, it felt like we're back. That's what it felt like. And
Old school Houston football.
yeah, what I remember, right? Because
Right.
this organization started back up in 2002.
Yep.
Tough, years getting started. Obviously, some good players that they drafted. Obviously, D'Amico's one of them. Andre Johnson, Mario, all those guys, right? And
Glover
then
Quin,
I got there in '09, right? So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I got there in '09, and it was like you can feel a little energy, but it wasn't all the way there yet. My first year, I think we ended up 9-7, but we didn't make the playoffs because we lost to the Jets opening day, and then the Jets ended up beating Cincinnati in week 17, and then the Jets made the playoffs. We didn't. We beat the Patriots. We finished on a 4-game win streak that year. We were 5-7 at one point, and we finished on a 4-game win streak. That's when Arian Foster kind of came on the scene those last few games, and we finished 9-7, but we missed the playoffs. We came back the next year, and we ended up going 6-10, right? And then we had the lockout, but that's when they fired the defensive staff. They fired Frank Bush. They fired all those guys. And then Wade Phillips came in during the lockout, right? We had the lockout. Wade Phillips came in at that time. So we were able to meet the coaches and stuff before the lockout and all that stuff. And then we got locked out. And so 2011, we win the division, right? We get a home playoff game. We play Cincinnati, and we win, right? We're rocking. We go to Baltimore and have the crazy game, right? Should have won that game and been in the AFC Championship game. We don't win it, right? So then we come back in 2012, but the city is rocking, right? Like we're playing, like we're winning, like the excitement is there. Andre Johnson is in his prime. Arian Foster is leading the league in rushing. Like we're number one, top 5 defensively. We're top 2, 3 offensively, right? All those guys, right?
JJ Watt
Owen
has came on
Daniels.
the scene.
JJ Watt came on the scene in 2011, right? Like, so we're like the city is buzzing, right? So we come back in 2012, and I think we were 12-1 at one point, right? And then we tricked off the last 3 games, and we went from a potential 1 seed to end up sliding into the 3 seed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so we end up beating Cincinnati again, but now the fact that we're the 3 seed, instead of us being the 1 and having the home playoff game, we were the 3, so we end up having to go to New England. And if you remember, Baltimore went to Denver that year. And that was one of the coldest games that we've seen. And if you remember earlier that season, we had played Baltimore in Houston on Battle Red Day, and we had smacked them like 40-something to 10 or whatever, right? And not saying it would have been the same way in the playoffs, but we kind of felt like if we would have had the number 1 seed and Baltimore comes back to Houston, we liked our chances, and that's the AFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl. We tricked off those last 3 games. We ended up beating. I think we lost to New England in the Letterman jacket game.
Oh my goodness.
Then we came home. We beat the Colts. That allowed us to clinch the division. Then we lost to Minnesota at home. If we'd have beat Minnesota at home, we would have locked up the number 1 seed. We lost to Minnesota at home. So then we had to go to Indy the last week of the season to win. And we would have still been the number 1 seed. Indy was out of the playoff race, I think. I don't even think they were in it. They didn't really have, they were locked into their spot. They didn't really have much to play for.
Yeah.
And we lost that game. And so finishing with those 3 losses knocked us down to the 3 seed. But for me, that was my memory of the Texans, right? We finished good in 09. 2010 wasn't great. And then 11 and 12, we were like lit, you know what I'm saying? Winning the first division. And so that was the vibe. And then obviously when I left, Bill O'Brien comes in, they go 2-14, right? Or I think Bill O'Brien was the next guy. Kubiak was still there. They go 2-14 or whatever, and then Kubiak get sick or got fired or something happened. He got let go, and then Bill O'Brien comes in, and it's just kind of whatever, up and down.
Then the dark cloud.
It was all downhill from that. And so then when they hired D'Amico, it just kind of felt like, oh, we're going back to like Miko remembers what it was like when the Texans were popping. You know what I'm saying? Like he was on that team in 2011 when we won our first division. I don't think he was there in 12, but he was there in 11 when we won the first one. So Miko remembers and he knows what the city was like. I mean, Kubiak used to have, all those guys were around all the time, Bun B, Paul Wall, like just the guys that represent, Houston culture and the things that the city is about. Miko was around for that. So it just felt like Miko was going to bring that back. And the city really was excited about football again here. Hadn't played a game. But just the fact that they had brought that back, it felt like
it was a win.
Right. It felt like football again. And you could just feel that. And so when they had the press conference, it was here and I was able to be, to go and be a part of it. I couldn't miss it because I'm like, I play with D'Amico. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of respect. For D'Amico. So I was happy to see him get that job. And, it was important for me to be there.
Okay. So playing with D'Amico, did you have a feeling that he was going to become a head coach in his future?
If he wanted to,
yeah,
for sure.
You could have seen it, huh?
Yeah. If he wanted to be a coach, he definitely could. He could do it. You could tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I kick it off to Bo, you said earlier about the Jets game. That was your first game, correct?
Right.
Do you remember the first guy you tackled in that game?
Yeah, it would have been one of the slot wide receivers. What was his name? I can't remember. Dick Penn, maybe?
Nah. It was Leon Washington.
The running back?
Yeah, running back.
That was my first tackle.
That was your first tackle. Yeah, he caught a pass and you tackled him.
I thought
8-yard pass.
It was 8-yard pass.
Yeah,
that was a tough tackle then because he was tough, and if it was an 8-yarder, we had to been in some kind of space. Probably was a tough tackle.
Bo, what you got up there, man?
About D'Amico? Well,
no, anything.
Yeah, man, because I did a little deep dive, like I don't know if it's true or not. I try to go just do a little research on whoever we have on the show, and I noticed that you start off at cornerback. Do you wish you would have stayed at primarily cornerback, or did you enjoy moving to safety?
Nah, I was a safety all along.
Okay.
I was a safety in high school.
Gotcha.
Well, I started out playing corner, kind of, and in high school I was was good, obviously, and so the coach kind of felt like, well, playing you at corner, if they run to the opposite side of the field, you're kind of a non-factor in the game. If we put you at safety, at least you're in the middle of the field. You can affect both sides of the game, right? So then I started playing safety, right? But then I ended up having to go to JUCO out of high school.
Okay.
And so in JUCO, it's only 2 years, right? For freshman and sophomore year. But I didn't go to JUCO because I didn't have grades. I just went to JUCO because I didn't get the offer that I wanted out of high school. So I went JUCO. So I was eligible to leave after 1 year. After I could have played the first semester and left, right? So when the coach was recruiting me to the JUCO, that was basically his thing. They played kind of a zone system, cover 2, roll cover 3 type of system. So he knew, okay, I know you've played safety in college and high school, but we already got 2 sophomore safeties. And so in JUCO, that's kind of like 2 seniors, right? Like we already got 2 sophomore safeties, so we don't need another safety, but we need a corner. Right, you could come here and play corner for us because you got good ball skills, you're physical. We play some cover 2, cover 3. You could do this. You can come here and play corner, yada yada yada, and then leave. So I was like, bump it, let's do it. So then I went to JUCO to play corner. So then after playing 2 years of corner in JUCO, I stayed for 2 seasons because I broke my arm in the second game of the first season. So I missed the rest of the year. And so I had to come back and play the next year. So I played my second year, and then I left mid-year, and New Mexico recruited me as a corner because that's what they saw me playing. So then I went to New Mexico and played corner. Had a couple different packages where I would move back as a safety or just different things. But I played primarily corner in college. So then I got drafted as a corner. But on all my pre-draft stuff, I was looked at as a tweener, right? That you're kind of like a corner safety.
Hybrid, yeah.
Right. I was a tweener. And so I got drafted as a corner, but the Texans drafted me primarily to play the nickel. That's what they wanted me for, to play on the inside. So when they took me in the 4th round, that was the goal, to play the nickel. But then when OTAs came, I was the backup corner, and I was the starting nickel. So then when I would get in at corner, I don't know if it was because they thought I was slow, or they thought I was chubby as a corner, or what it was, but they were trying me, man. And I caught like 5 picks in OTAs, right? Like I was catching picks every day, and left out of OTAs, and the reviews were a little different. We brought this guy in to play nickel, but he really showed up on the edge. And so when the season training camp started, I was playing the nickel, same thing. And then the season came, and we didn't play great the first couple of games. I think we lost to the Jets, and secondary didn't play great. And then we beat the Tennessee Titans in week 2. The secondary still didn't play great though. I think Chris Johnson was going 92-yard touchdowns on us. You know what I'm saying? And then we played Jacksonville Jaguars week 3, and we lost that game, and the secondary didn't play great. So then coach came in on that Wednesday and just like he benched Fred Bennett. Fred Bennett was the starting corner at the time. He benched Fred. If y'all remember Jock Reeves, they had signed Jock Reeves to a 4-year, $20 million deal, I think. But he had broke his leg in training camp. Well, he came back, and coach was like, Jock, if you can walk, you playing, like you starting, right? So I'm just sitting over there like, man, I just been playing the nickel. Like I've been kind of doing my thing on special teams. I haven't really been playing much defense. I think the first game I played 17 plays. The second game I played like 16 plays. And then the third game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I only played like 9 plays because, Jacksonville wasn't running a lot of nickel formation. They were running 12 personnel and things like that, running the ball, Maurice Jones-Drew and all those guys, right? So I didn't play that much that game. So I was just in the corner like, dang, man, coach going off on these guys, right? And so we go out to practice on that Wednesday, and we going through just little ball drills at the beginning of practice. They throw Jock a ball, boom, it bounces off his finger, and Jock breaks his pinky, but the bone pops out. So they had to take Jock to the doctor and get, wrapped up. And, I'm sitting there like, dang, man, this is going to get interesting. Jock's hurt again. They just benched Fred. Bryce got benched. But I ain't say nothing. I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, man, I wonder what's going to happen. And then that Thursday, they told me that I was going to be starting at corner. And so it was crazy, man. I went out there as a corner, but I knew who I was as a corner, and so I played corner kind of like a safety. I wasn't trying to be a Deion Sanders type finesse cover corner. I just knew I wasn't fast enough, quick enough to keep up with those guys like that. So I had to be physical, get my hands on them, give up short passes in front of me, drive and tackle. But anything deep, I knew I could make a play on it. So I didn't want to get in foot races with any of those guys because I didn't feel like I could win those. So that's kind of how I had to play the corner position. So then when I moved to safety, it was just kind of like a natural thing because I was a natural like talker or leader. But when you play in corner, you don't get to make the calls on the field. The safeties make the calls. So there's plenty of times where as a corner, I'm seeing calls that need to be made. And I'm looking at my safety like, bro, you gonna make the call? Like, bro, you gonna make the call? And they're not making the call, right? But as a corner, especially as a young corner, I can't make the call.
Yeah.
So when I moved to safety, it was like perfect because now I was able to really be myself and be who I was. Like I made it to the league, obviously, because I had some talent. I was tough, I worked hard, but I was smart. That's how I made it. I learned how to survive through good technique and just being smart. I didn't have to be as fast as you were. If I knew exactly where you were going, I could beat you to the spot. And so that's how I had to survive. So I would see things, and then once I got the ability to make the calls to put us in the best situation for what I felt like was going to happen, it was great for me. And so I think my corner career is cool to be able to say I played every position in the secondary: corner, nickel, safety, dime, strong, free, like everything. So that's cool to be able to say that, but definitely safety was the better choice for me.
Okay,
sure.
okay, yeah, that always amazes me because like even when like I'm not saying y'all have the same stories, but when I see Kareem Jackson play corner for the Texans, I say, okay, he's a B plus corner, but he's an A plus safety. Why don't you put him in safety? So it just amazes me sometimes. Like I wonder if y'all as players go to the coach like, hey man, I know you got me in corner, but I can do a lot more if you put me in safety or vice versa. You know what I mean? Do you ever had a conversation with the coach, or is that just over? That's out of bounds. Talk to the coach about that.
No, you don't have that conversation if you're playing. Now, if you're not playing, right? If you're not playing, now you have that conversation that, hey man, I know I'm not getting to play as a corner. Like, can I get some reps at safety, right?
Okay.
But if you're not playing that corner, then that means you're doing scout team, right? That means you're doing the scout team against the starting offense in practice. So that's where you go out there and just playing around being a scout team, but you start playing some safety and showing them, hey, this kid can make some plays back here. Like he looks okay at safety. Let's see if we give him. Let's just ask him how you feel about playing safety, right?
Yeah.
But if you're playing as a corner, you're going to probably stay there as long as you can because corners primarily get paid more than safeties. And so if I can still be a starting corner in the league, then be a starting corner because most of the time those players play corner as long as they can. Look at Charles Woodson. He's going to play corner as long as he can, and then you move to safety. You look at Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey played corner as long as he can, then he moved to safety, right? So that's generally what happened. You play corner as long as you can. So Kareem played corner as long as he could, right? And then once they start to feel like, all right, your value now is a little more as a safety, then we move you to safety. And a lot of times, outside of the angles, the space, the transition can be pretty, I don't want to say simple, but you can do it, put it like that.
So would you say, because I remember you said as a safety, you get to quarterback the defense in a way. Do you feel like it's more preparation as a safety than as a corner? Or is it about the same amount? Is it the same amount of film, the same amount of breakdowns, plays? How do you go attacking?
Well, that depends on your game as a safety. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, for me, I had to survive off of being smart. So even as a corner, I had to study the game and the other offense like a safety so that I can have a feel for what they like to do in certain situations so that I can protect myself as a corner, right? If you're a corner that doesn't feel those things, you just play physical, you fast or whatever, then you probably just going out there playing. Once you move to safety, you don't turn into some magical, film study guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you learn because now you gotta make calls, and if you can't communicate and understand what's going on, then the coaches are gonna start to realize that the players are gonna complain, and you're probably not gonna be playing, right? So you do what you got to do to get yourself ready to go. But for me, it was just a natural thing. I was already doing it. I was just looking at the game from the outside in. Moving to safety, I was able to look at it from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? Like looking at it straight on as opposed to looking at it from an angle, right? So now you can really see. Now it looks exactly like what it looks like on film, right? You see in the front and the back. So you can see, oh, he got a tight split on this side. He got a wide split on the other side. When you're looking at it from an angle, you can't really tell how tight or wide that split is on the opposite side, right? You can see it on your side, but you can't really tell it on the opposite side. You just know they got a guy over there, right? But when you're at safety, you can see it. Oh, boom, boom. Okay, here we go. I can see this right here. And it looks exactly like what it looks on film, because on film, you're going to get the overview and then you're going to get the back view so you can see. So it looks exactly the same. So when I moved to safety, it was, like I said, it was just a natural thing for me because I was on the field making calls. I was just making them in my head, waiting for the safety to make the call. You know what I'm saying? If I saw situations, I might look at him and be shaking my head like, okay, yeah, you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. I just couldn't say anything. When I became a safety, I could say stuff. And so that was just right up my alley because, I like to talk.
So as a safety, was there ever a coverage that you like, oh, I got this coverage, okay, I got this down. No, cover 3, I love cover 3, I love cover 4. Was there ever a package that you like enjoy playing the most, or the scheme you fit in the most?
I love playing cover 4.
Cover 4, okay.
Yeah, okay. I love quarters. I didn't really like cover 2 as much.
Yeah, that's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, and like I said, I wasn't one of those super athletic guys, right? So for me, you got to have a real good beat on the quarterback, and you got to get a great jump, because any false step, they hitting it down the sideline or they hitting it down the middle, and you're not going to catch these guys.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like playing cover 2 as much. You know what I'm saying? Straight cover 2. Cover 2 man, maybe just because they're still responsible for their man. You're just helping out, right? But just straight cover 2, they don't get a jam on that wide receiver. He rolling down the sideline and he rolling down the middle. Like it's tough, right?
Yeah.
But I love cover 4. Cover 3 was cool. I like it in certain situations, depending on how you play it. Okay. Cover 1, I like being the free safety in cover 1.
Okay.
So yeah, but cover 4 is probably my favorite coverage. Quarters.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll give it back to
But I'm also only responsible for a quarter of the field. I'm not responsible for half. I'm responsible for my quarter.
Okay. All right. Kick it off to you, Matt. What you got for Mr. GQ?
So last year when you saw the Texans draft CJ and then do a movie like Magic and trade up to get Will Anderson, were you shocked, or were you like, all right, that's the move that needed to be done?
I mean, I was definitely shocked. I mean, I felt like they would take one of those quarterbacks, right? And I know Bryce Young went number 1, and D'Amico being an Alabama guy, I didn't feel like they would trade up to get Bryce Young just because he was an Alabama guy. Right. And I didn't think that they would want to start out with that connection as D'Amico being an Alabama guy trading up to get an Alabama guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like they would trade up, because I felt like they felt like, okay, well, if they take CJ Stroud first round, first pick, then Bryce Harper falls to us. If they take Bryce Harper first pick, then CJ falls to us, right? And we can get our guy. So I didn't think they would trade up. Now, when they traded up to get Will Anderson, I was like, oh, snap. That's how you make a statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I felt like. That felt like, okay, we just hired our coach, and now we're finna get our offensive and our defensive centerpiece, cornerstone for the next 5, 6, 10 years. So you guys are coming in together. So to me, that made me feel like they're gonna give Miko more than a year.
Yeah.
Even if this year wasn't great, they're gonna give him more than a year. They've gotten to the point where they feel like they got their guy, and now they're starting to build. We got our quarterback, we got our defensive guy. Now, if we have success the first year, great. But we're gonna try to build, right? That's what it felt like. And so when they made those moves, I was like, oh, snap. No, they did that. No, they traded up. Oh, man. I was like, wow, this is
blockbuster. Yeah.
Blockbuster. It was, but that's
right.
They made a statement, and that's how they did it, and it was good. It worked out for them, Now, the thing is, it's tough, man. It's tough because it's the league. It's tough. And expectations are tough. You know what I'm saying? Me coming in and having a career that I had in my time in Houston as a 4th rounder, and you played well. If they'd have drafted me 1st or 2nd rounder, he was a bust.
He was a bust, yeah.
Right? Because the expectation that you put on a 4th rounder, maybe he's a special teams guy, backup, safety, corner, rotational guy, get in on a couple of packages. Yeah, but now he ends up starting every game for us. Right? Now he's playing the corner, he's playing the nickel, he's playing the safety, he's playing the dime. Like, man, he's a quiet, unsung hero on our team, but he's only a 4th rounder. If I was a 1st rounder, that would be expected, right? But as a 4th rounder, you're exceeding expectations. So coming off the season that the Texans had the year prior, any kind of success this year would have been a win, right? Any kind of success.
Right.
But now when you win a division, win the playoff game, get to the 2nd round of playoffs, now that's the expectation. Right? CJ Stroud, great year, offensive player of the year, probably Pro Bowl. Like, the expectation is higher for next year. So sometimes you just got to be able to sustain it, man, and ride the wave. This next year could be better. It could be worse. It's football. You just don't know, right? They're gonna have
Sunday.
They're gonna have a whole year to study CJ, scout him, game plan against him, study D'Amico, what's his tendencies, what they like, right? They're gonna have all that. You got to throw in injuries. What happens with people getting injured? And like, it's so many factors that go into it. But now the expectations are there, right? So when you lose games that you should have won, it hurts hard. It hurts more, right? It hurts more. Last year it was, hey man, they still young. They got young. And they're gonna get it. They gonna get. I like what I'm seeing. But once they go out and do it, now you expect it. So now when they don't do it, you, hey man, they out there playing around, man. Like, what are they? You see what I'm saying? It's because you expect them to perform a certain type of way, but they're still young. They're still gonna have growing pains and all these different things. And like, I think the reason why you see a little fall off in year 2 from rookies, so I wouldn't be surprised if CJ and even Will, I wouldn't be surprised, because rookie year is a long year. Long year. I mean, you got to think, those guys go from training camp, their senior year of college, right? Training camp, senior year of college, go through a whole college season. Both of those players, Ohio State and Alabama, I think, was in the college football playoffs.
Top 4, they were in top 4.
Right? So they playing a long time, right? So now they get done January, Now they're right into training for the combine.
Yep.
Right? Go to combine in February. Now they're right back into training for pro days. Right? Go right into pro days. Now you get drafted. Now you're right into NFL offseason.
Yeah, media training, all
that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you first round top picks. So all the other obligations that come with that, you having to do all that, all this, all that, right? Then now you finally get to training camp again. Now you go through a whole NFL season, make the playoffs. Now you're playing to mid-January again, right? You playing to mid-January again. And then you look at, they make the Pro Bowl, right? CJ, all this stuff. They're probably in Vegas right now. They was in Orlando last week. They're not training right now. They're not. So when this week is over with, the NFL honors is tomorrow. Both of those guys will probably be there, right? And they'll probably be in Vegas up until Sunday morning, right? I mean, none of those guys really go to the game. So unless they got some type of appearances or something that they got to do, on Sunday, you generally stay in the Super Bowl city up until Sunday morning. You party all night, Saturday or whatever. Then you fly home Sunday morning, right? Gotcha. So when they get home Sunday, it's going to be February the
12th.
11th.
No, 11th,
right?
Yeah, February 11th, yep.
And they're going to be just now getting their first break.
Mm-hmm.
So now, say you take 3 weeks, a month to just kind of relax and take a break, take a vacation. You look up, it's already mid-March. You got 3 weeks of training right before you back into off-season OTAs again, right? So coming off that first year, especially when it's successful, all of the outside things that you got to do, the media stuff and obligations and awards and traveling, and then you finally get a chance to take a break. You rest for a little bit, let your body heal up. Next thing you know, you look up, you back at work, but you haven't really put in like that off-season work.
Yep.
Right. So then you have a little lull in year 2. Right. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes you have a little lull in year 2. And then after year 2, you recalibrate, and now you're a third-year player, and you kind of understand, like, this is what it takes. I got to be this, or I got to be that. That's typically how it happens.
Yeah.
Not guaranteed. I'm not putting that on CJ or Will. I think those are 2 good young players. But if you see that, that's probably why.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because CJ gonna be next week playing in the All-Star celebrity game. Like, just don't touch CJ Stroud. Let him shoot the ball. Just do it
right.
Don't touch the
Yeah. So, but that's what happens, right? When you're a good young player that had a great season, you're gonna have all these different opportunities and these obligations and different things. You're gonna be pulled this way, pulled that way. Like, that's just what's gonna happen. And then you're gonna look up. It's gonna be March, and you're gonna finally be getting a chance to breathe. And it's like, heck, I gotta go back to training, right? But you ain't gonna want to. You're gonna be like, bro, I'm tired. Like I finally can take a vacation, because even though he's in Vegas right now, he's not on vacation. They're working. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go out there like that, you got appearances here. You got to be there. You got to be there. You got to do this. You got to do that. Now, it's what, 7:45 in there. He's probably at some appearance right now. You know what I'm saying? Then he's getting ready to go to probably a party that he got to make an appearance at, and then now you got to go to another one. He's not getting sleep this week. Right. He's in Vegas at the Super Bowl. You're not getting sleep.
He's shaking hands, kissing babies, like he's like,
yeah. But I mean, that's a part of it. That's what you got to do.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So this what I want to know right here, man. What happened during free agency back in 2013? Like, I thought you was coming back. So how did you end up in Detroit?
Sure, it was simple. that was where I had to go. you know, when I was a free agent coming up, you know, throughout the whole year, you know, Rick and them would come up to me and, you know, tell me that they wanted to get something done. So I was always like, all right, cool. But I went to school for business. I understand business. And I told you I'm a pretty smart guy. So as I'm looking at our team, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, in order for them to sign me back, something has to happen. Because if you remember, we had just signed Jonathan Joseph to a $45 million deal. They had just signed Danielle Manning to a $20 million deal. We had just drafted Kareem Jackson, who was a first-round corner. Right.
Ed Reed too, wasn't he that year?
No.
It wasn't there. It wasn't
Ed
there.
came 10 days later.
Yeah, it came when I left. But
that's right. Yeah, right.
So I'm sitting there like, we got a lot of money tied up in the secondary already, right? And they had paid Arian, you know, they had did this, they did like, and so I'm sitting there like, in order for them to give me what I felt like I deserved or wanted, that's gonna be a lot of money tied up in the secondary, right? Somebody's gonna have to go. And Kareem wasn't going, J-Joe wasn't going. So the only person it would have been Danielle Manning, right? And Danielle Manning was he would have been going into the third year of his deal, right? And so I kind of felt like something was going to have to shake, and nothing ever really shook. And so free agency getting closer, you know, you go through all these different periods, you know, they're going to put the franchise tag on it, right? So you go through that, they don't franchise you, okay? Then free agency started getting closer, and you still haven't really heard anything. And, you know, in the NFL, they don't really do stuff until there's deadlines, right? You know what? The deal got to be done by Thursday at noon. So we're going to hit them up Monday. We're going to hit them up Monday and send them an offer. Maybe they send us back Tuesday. Maybe we can agree by Wednesday or Thursday at 10 o'clock, right?
Gotcha.
So still don't hear anything, right? And so my agent's like, hey, man, I haven't heard anything from the Texans, so I don't really know what's going on. I was like, yeah, I don't know either, right? So, but you're hearing all the reports. All right. So then my year of free agency was the first year they started doing the tampering period, right? Where they allow you to contact free agents, or at least their agents, before the free agency period starts. So the tampering period starts, and Detroit's the first team that hit me up, like literally. Tampering period starts at 12 o'clock, 12:05. My agent's like, Detroit just called. So at that time, 2013, Detroit's the last place on my mind, right? Detroit, Cleveland, like, bro, I'm not trying to go there. Like, what is that, right? So we go through a couple of days of tampering. My agent's like, hey, I still haven't really heard anything from the Texans. You know, Detroit wants you to come out there, so maybe you can take this visit, and maybe that'll show the Texans that, hey, somebody else is interested, and you know, maybe that'll push them to make you an offer, right? And so I was like, all right, cool. So they set up the whatchamacallit with Detroit. And so the tampering period, like I said, they couldn't talk to me until free agency started. So they had told my agent, hey, we're going to fly them out. They got a 5 o'clock flight leaving out of Houston. But we can't contact him until it would have been 3 o'clock my time. So he needed to have his bags packed, all that stuff. Once the free agency period opens up, we'll send him my itinerary and all that stuff. But he's going to fly to Bush. You know, so basically had everything planned, but they couldn't talk to me or tell me until free agency officially opened. So I was sitting at the house, bags packed, sitting there looking at, you know, my wife at the time, just like, all right, man, like, I guess I'm finna go take this visit to Detroit, you know what I'm saying? And so I drive to the airport, and the whole time I'm driving to the airport, I'm just like, dang, man, like, is this really happening? Am I gonna have to leave Houston? Like, yeah, freaking A, right? So I fly to Detroit, and you go through the visit and all that stuff. And so we get to the day. And so I meet with the GM, and they're telling me all the stuff about, wanted me to be a part of the culture change. And they really wanted, like, I was the guy that they wanted, right? They brought me in, they brought in Reggie Bush, they brought in Jason Jones, but they were like, you're the guy that we want, like, you know what I'm saying? And so I still was like, man, I want to go back to Houston, man. Like I said, we just coming off two division titles. Like, we was popping, man. Like, my house is here. I live here. I love the city. Like, bro, I want to stay here, right? So Detroit makes me an offer. Still hasn't heard anything from Houston. Detroit makes me an offer. So I tell my agent, I was like, man, call Houston, right? Call Houston. See if they'll match the offer, because at that time I felt like I was the future, right? Daniel Manning was there, but he was a little older, right? I felt like I was the future, and I also felt like I'm the young guy, but I'm on the field telling Daniel Manning what to do. I'm telling these guys what, like, I'm the one that's holding all this stuff together. That's what I felt like. So I was like, I can't go back making less than what Daniel Manning makes, right? He was the other safety. I was like, I can't come back and make less than what he makes. I'm the younger guy. I'm the future. And I'm telling him what to do, right? And Danielle was my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was my guy. And he'll say all these same things. So I felt like I just couldn't come back making less. I wasn't saying I need to make exponentially more, but I at least felt like it should be the same, right?
Yeah.
So they gave Daniel Manning 4 for $20, $5 a year. Detroit had offered me a deal basically right at $5 a year. Hey, let's see if they'll match. It would be at $5 a year, and I'll stay in Houston. So my agent calls Houston, and while I'm sitting there, right? While I'm sitting there, literally, you can see it on just like this going across the bottom right here. Subscribe, try YouTube. Literally, you can see it on TV, ESPN. Glover Quin agrees to terms with the Detroit Lions. And I'm sitting there, and I call my agent. I'm like, hold on, bro. I didn't agree to terms. Like, what is this on TV? And this is what my agent said. I can't say this with I don't know. But my agent was like, the Texans, when you called and said that Detroit had made you an offer and they wanted the Texans and you wanted the Texans to match, they took that as Detroit made you a good offer. We're not going to match it. So he's going to agree with the Detroit Lions. So the Texans leaked to ESPN that I had agreed to terms with the Detroit Lions. I never had agreed to terms with Detroit Lions. So then, literally 3 minutes later, you see going across the ticker, Glover Quin does not agree to terms with the Detroit Lions. Literally. And so then I talked to my agent. I'm like, he was like, you know what? You got this team, that team, but you were more like a second option. They want an offensive tackle first. They want to get this guy first. And if they get this guy, then they can offer you. But if they get him, they can only give you this much. If they don't get him, they can give you more, because the year that I came out in free agency, the salary cap was a flat cap for 2 or 3 years after the lockout. So the cap was like flat at 120, 120, like there wasn't no big deals. Like, the biggest deal as a safety in free agency my year, Deshaun Golson got 5 for $40 to go to Tampa. The next deal was LaRon Landry. He got 4 for $24, $6 million a year. So that was kind of the range, right? The top player got $8 million a year. Nowadays, average to, I don't want to say below average, that's an insult, but average players are getting $8 million a year as a safety nowadays. back then that was the top, right? But the salary cap was flat at 120 for like 3 years in a row. Now it's probably like close to 200 mil, right? So it's way more money out there. And so it was like, if they get this guy, they only got enough money to give you, they'll only be able to give you this much, and this and that. So I was like, man, you know what? I ain't ever wanted to be like a second fiddle guy. Like I want to go somewhere that want me. So Detroit want me, bump it. Let's go to Detroit. So then you see back across the screen at the bottom, Glover Quin does agree to turn. Literally, I kid you not, bro. This is he agreed, he didn't agree, now he agreed again. And then that's how it was. And so I get on the plane, I'm flying back to Houston. I'm literally just like, wow, this is crazy. I just signed in Detroit. Like, I'm leaving Houston. Like, I got off the plane, I go walking through the airport, like I literally started shedding tears, man. Like, it was like sad, just really sad. And
it sucked as a fan because I wanted you to stay.
And it was crazy, you know what I'm saying? And I think, the true fans that knew me, they appreciated how I played. I think the way it went down wasn't cool, but it was magnified because of how I played in Detroit. If I would have went to Detroit and flopped, nobody would have cared really that it went down like that. But the fact that I went to Detroit and played well, now the true fans were like, I knew he was going to be like that. We should have kept him. Because when I left, there's been a revolving door at safety. They drafted DJ Swearinger. He didn't do what they wanted. They signed Ed Reed. He didn't do anything. They paid Raheem Moore. He didn't do anything. Like, it was a revolving door. It was like all this money that y'all passing out. Y'all passing out all this money, and I only asked for 5 a year. Like, I just wanted 5, but y'all giving out this, that. Just Ed Reed takes money and just left. Like, hey man, thank y'all for the quick bag, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm sitting back like kind of laughing at that point. Like, that's what y'all do.
Yeah. Okay. So on that right there, that was my follow up question. How did that make you feel that they gave Ed Reed $15 million, $5 million guaranteed? Then you see what Ed Reed did that year. Then you see what Daniel Manning did that year as well. Neither one of those guys played a full season, and you went out to Detroit and ball. So how did that make you feel as a player?
It made me feel like what I tell people right now. Don't focus on proving people wrong. Worry about proving people right. Yeah. So in that moment, I wasn't really thinking about proving Detroit wrong. I mean, proving Houston wrong. I was really happy that I was able to play well because Detroit believed in me. And by playing well for Detroit, it showed that Houston did wrong, right? But when they went 2-14, like I had friends on that team. Like, I was still watching the games. That first night they opened up on West Coast in San Diego. Yeah. Right. In San Diego, they had the late game. I'm in Detroit. They playing in San Diego. I'm staying up. They had the second game. I'm staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning watching the game. And you thought they was going to win that game, and they end up losing. They'd go on to lose.
No, we ended up winning that game.
They won that game and then lost everything else and went 2-14.
Losing.
Right. And a part of me is just like, you're sad for your homies, right? Because you got friends on that team, but you're also just like, hey man, they kind of fell apart when GQ left. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how you feel. Like, sure, I left, they fall apart, but I was the glue.
I'm the glue, right?
I was the glue. That's where it was. But I feel like it was a blessing, honestly, man, because I don't think, even if I would have stayed, I don't think the Texans would have gave me an opportunity to be a star. Right, because of how I came in as a 4th-round draft pick. I was like that utilitarian, do everything, this, that, and the other. We had J. Joe, we had Kareem, we had JJ Watt coming into his own. We had we had a bunch of stars.
Yeah, stars are
So I feel like I would have just had to stay as a role player. Detroit wanted me to come and be
The
the
franchise.
star.
The
They
guy.
wanted me to be the guy. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so in that regard, it worked out because I was able to deliver and put together some successful seasons in Detroit. So it worked out. But like I say, if I would have stayed in Houston, I don't think I would have been put in the situation to have the same impact as I had in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so I think that's what makes it feel a certain way because I left and had success, right? And so you just feel like I would have had that same success in Houston. That's what you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can't say that it would have been like that because I don't think I would have had those opportunities to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
in the moment, you think to yourself like, why is this? Why is it going this way? But then what has your name on it has your name on it. That's why I look at things. What has your name on it has your name on it. You just gotta roll with the punches, do your job, and you'll look back and like, oh, that's why that happened. Makes sense.
Before
what's crazy is hold on. So what's crazy is I don't have any ill will against the Texans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But last week I was at the Houston Sports Awards, and somebody told me, it's like, hey man, did you see Rick Smith over there? And I was like, nah, I ain't see him. So I look over and I see him. I went over to speak, and you would have thought he saw a ghost or something. But I ain't got that. Like I say, the fact that it worked out for me in Detroit, I don't have any. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a hindsight thing, right? Like if it would have been awful in Detroit, I probably would have had like some animosity against. Yeah, but it worked out for me, and it ended up being a great move. And so for me, I still got love for Houston. Some of the fans that remember me, although it's been 12 years, probably 10 years since I played here, right?
Mm-hmm.
2012, now it's 2024, right? It's been 12 years since I played here. So a lot of the young fans, they probably don't remember me as a player here. You know what I'm saying? The older people, my age people probably do. And they still appreciate me. I see them around the town and in the city and stuff like that. And that's cool. And then the Detroit fans know me and they appreciate me. So it's cool. I live here in Houston, but it's pretty solid, man. I got nothing but love for those guys.
Before we let you go, I had a question, but Tyler from 610, his question goes in with mine. So here it is. It says, question for you, Glover. Did you ever tell Andre he stole your headline that week 12 when he beat up Cortland Pitt again?
Oh man, you know what? That's so funny, right? Because
how was that good? How was it seen it live? Was it?
Dude, I was literally right there in front of it. And it's funny because I was at the TriStar Card Show this past weekend with my son, right? And they had a picture of Andre and the fight. And my son was like, man, Daddy, that's a fight. It looked like that's a fight right there. I was like, yeah, son, I was at that game. He's like, did you see the fight? I said, yeah, I was literally standing right there in front of it. Like, so I was on the sideline because we were winning 20-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had been balling. So I'm feeling good. So I'm up standing on the sideline watching the offense. It's the end of the game, I think, the fourth quarter. So I'm literally standing on the sideline talking to a player, a coach, or somebody, and they literally got the fighting right there in front of me. I literally had front row seats. It was the craziest thing. But a little while ago, it came up on social media, and somebody sent me a reel or something with the 3 interceptions, or maybe I put together a reel on the anniversary date because they always show this happened on this date with the Andre Johnson fight. But I put a reel together of my 3 interceptions, right? And I was like, this also happened in that game, but nobody remembers it because of the Andre Johnson fight. I was like, it got no play on ESPN because of the Andre Johnson fight. So it's all good, man. Andre's my guy, man. I hope he get the call tomorrow for the Hall of Fame, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When we were talking to Zach Giles last week, we said that when he does make the Hall of Fame, that should be the statue in front of NRG is him beating down Cortland Finnegan. That should be forever enshrined in Texas history.
That's an epic picture, man. I mean, and dude, we used to battle those guys. I remember, like I said, my rookie year, we played Tennessee week 2, and they got to fighting. That's when they got to fighting the first time on our sideline. The whole team was over there, and Cortland Finnegan was over there. Right, that was the first time they got to going at it. So then the next year, we play them at home. It really went down. Really went down. Yeah.
Man.
Oh man, that's history.
Yeah, that's history. You know what? I got one more. You know, earlier you said, you know, you're a pretty smart guy. You know, you major in business and everything. Do you still follow the 30-70 saving strategy?
Sure, I tried to.
You try to?
I tried to. You know, my life is a little different now. But I definitely, like Lil Baby say, I'm definitely saving more than I be spending. You know what I'm saying? Definitely do that for sure. And I mean, you know, when you're doing it, it's hard in the moment, but you just got to see the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? You just got to see the bigger picture. And for me, I just was like, you know what? I knew I only wanted to play for 10 years. I never wanted to play long time. I never did. I wanted to play 10 years. And I don't want to say that 10 years isn't long, but I'm saying I didn't want to be out there 15, 14. Like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play 10 and be done with it. And so I knew I wanted to save as much money as I could so that when it was time for me to go, I could just leave. I didn't want to feel like I had to stick around and try to steal a year and make back, you know, 3 or 4 million that I blew early in my career. Like, I didn't want to have to do that. And so when you look at it like that, it was really like, I'm just out here grinding. Like, I don't really have time to spend. I don't want to spend. And, you know, when you have someone else that's a part of that, they have to be on that same page as well, because now, you know, hey man, this is what our budget is for the month. You know what I'm saying? We got to spend this much money. And it's hard when you're young and you look in the account and you got that much money, but now we can only spend this much money. Like, it's difficult, right? And so, you know, we were able to do it and learn and figure out other ways to, like, I was a big unaccounted for money type of guy, right? So if I went and did an appearance and made like $2,500, we finna go blow that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we finna go live. We finna go have some fun with that. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, we would get, like, say, for instance, we make the playoffs, right? That's some money that you don't have that money accounted for in your budget, because you don't know that you're going to get that money.
Gotcha.
So that type of money, we're going to go live off that.
We have fun with this.
We're going to have fun off that. We're going to, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go take a trip, or we're going to go buy some stuff or whatever. But with the money that we have, our salary money, we got to be on this right here. So that's kind of how it was.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, man, save your money.
Oh yeah, so especially in these days times, man. It's hard out here, man. It's hard out here.
It's tough.
Matt, Bo, you have anything before we end the show?
No, I'm good, man. Great show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Man, anytime, man. Anytime. I appreciate it. Told you I love to talk. I mean, I'm open book. I talk about anything. I don't care.
Okay, so all right, so you open book. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this question right here. You from Mississippi, correct?
Yes, sir.
So who catfish better, Mississippi or Houston?
Ooh.
Well, I honestly, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I'm gonna have to say Mississippi, just because at this stage in my life, I don't really eat a lot of catfish. So I really haven't had catfish like that in Houston. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, growing up in Mississippi, you're eating a lot of catfish, and you know, it's fried catfish, and you don't eat a lot of baked or grilled catfish. You know, it's fried catfish. We're having a fish fry, right?
That's what it is. Fry. Yeah.
So at this stage in my life, you know, I don't really eat a lot of fried food. other than
Okay.
maybe a French fry or
Yeah.
some wings, depending on where they at. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go to a restaurant and order fried catfish, but it's not in my brain to get grilled catfish or the blackened cat. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I just kind of don't really eat a lot of catfish. So I haven't really experienced the Houston catfish. So then I just gotta by default say Mississippi catfish is better. You know?
Okay, well
That's
then
fair.
I'm a double back. So when you left Houston, went to Detroit, who food was better?
Oh, Houston. Houston food is better for sure.
Can't
Okay.
You know,
can't go wrong.
yeah, Houston got good food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really good food. I mean, and I would say, you know, as a whole, right? So, and this is the difference, right? So, Houston, when you say has good food, we're talking restaurants, right? Growing up in Mississippi, it's home cooked.
Yes.
So when you start looking at the restaurant world, yes, the restaurants in Houston are way better than in Mississippi. But the home cooked, I mean, that's what I grew up on. You know what I'm saying? My mom, I feel like she can do her thing, right? So the food here is great. So then when you go to Detroit, restaurant wise, the food is better here to me as well. But Houston is the fourth largest city. Like Houston is a major city, so they're gonna have some really good food, and it's really good. So yeah, I gotta get Houston a nod over Detroit in the food aspect category. You know what
All
I'm
right,
saying? But
well,
Detroit is known for what it's known for in the food department, and it's good. But Houston overall, yeah.
yeah. Since Crenshaw's asking who's better, we're all about the culture here. So who has better rap music, Detroit or Houston?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say, you said rap music.
Right.
I'm gonna have to say and it's by default, really. But I'm gonna have to say Detroit. Only because I like Eminem. That's really it. Like,
Right.
I don't really know many other rappers out of Detroit, but in
Right.
Eminem. I mean, I don't really put Big Sean in the like. I mean, maybe he's a rapper, I guess, but Eminem. I like Eminem. I grew up listening to some Eminem stuff, right? So then when I think about Houston, you know, I wasn't a huge chop and screw type of guy. I wasn't a guy that I didn't really like the big heavy voice rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up seriously like I like the Lil Waynes. I like I like the little guys that just kind of be
the melody.
I wasn't a big you know, Mike Jones or Paul Wall.
Freestyling type music.
You know what I'm saying? I like Lil Flip, right? I like Flip, but that's why I went with Detroit because I put Eminem over Flip.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? But I mean, if you look at it from a total,
and to be fair, Detroit has nobody compares to what Eminem has done, and
right.
Like the dude is a mega superstar.
Right.
And Houston hasn't got that yet.
So, our Eminem would be Scarface then.
Yeah, I mean he would, but
and that's what I'm saying. I wasn't a fan of like those type of rappers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he like the man hold up.
Right.
Man, I'm coming down.
Yeah. I wasn't really on that. I was on some Lil Wayne. I was with the Hot Boys, you know what I'm saying? Back in the days. I was a Lil Wayne guy. So then, you know, those type of guys. I liked Fabulous growing up. Like just like, you know what I'm saying? Like those type of rappers.
Instead of the Ghetto Boys, you like the 504 Boys, right?
Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I wasn't a big Biggie Smalls guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just wasn't that. And I mean, like I said, I wasn't a big Biggie fan I know their music, but I wasn't like beating down the door for like that.
The next song, right?
But you know, Lil Wayne dropping mixtapes, I'm on them. Every last one of them. I'm on them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I did have one more question before we get off of here because he did play for Detroit. when Dan Campbell was going for it on fourth down, you didn't call nobody to get him off the field. You didn't call nobody, let them know about keep going.
You was at the game. You was at the game.
I was
Yeah.
at the game, man. Oh my gosh, man. Golly.
Oh man, I know that was tough.
Here, man. You know what, man? You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. You in the moment. Like I said, I think the first one is arguable. The second one, I think you got to kick it. But it's all hindsight. But
yeah.
for me, I go to halftime and I'm up 17. I'm just trying to get to the finish line now.
Yep.
Meaning, if we're running and we get to the last half mile, I don't have to hit a PR on my speed. I just got to stay 100 yards in front of the person behind me. If I'm 100 yards in front of the person behind me, if he pick it up a little bit, then I got to pick it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He slow it down, I can slow it down. I'm just trying to get to the finish line because I'm already 100 yards ahead.
Exactly. Yep.
So for when I think about it like that, second half, they go down, get a field goal. We go down. We don't need to go for it on fourth.
We gotta go for it. Exactly.
Let's keep it at 17 points. Let's take the momentum away. They got a field goal. We got a field goal. If they go down and don't get it on fourth down, now you go down and maybe you can get it on fourth down, right? But they got a field goal. You go get a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it at 17. We racing the clock now. We trying to get to the finish line. That's what we trying to do. We ain't trying to make no other statement. The biggest statement made will be winning the game.
Yep.
Not me going for the fourth down. Not me. The biggest statement made would be winning the game. However you get there, nobody's gonna care that you
took the chances. Yep.
Your gonads shrunk or whatever nobody's gonna care if you win the game and go to the Super Bowl. Now you might be walking around with big gonads, but everybody's like, bro, we should have let them shrunk a little bit and let's kick it, right? But you know, that's hindsight, man. Dan Campbell did a great job. You know, the thing you got to live with the good, live with the bad. We can all second guess it. That's what he felt like in the moment. So that's what he did. I'm just a fan nowadays. I'm just a couch quarterback, I guess, whatever you guys call it. Couch. I don't know what it is, but that's just my opinion. That's what I say. But, you know, I think a lot of times when you get into games, everybody looks at certain decisions that you make. And I think you have to separate yourself from that stuff and understand why you're making those decisions. You're making those decisions to go for it on fourth down based off of how the game is going. Your team is executing really well. The other team is not really stopping us. We're just stopping ourselves, right? So I feel very confident in going for it on fourth down. I'm not going for it on fourth down just because I want to say I'm going for it on fourth down. Right. If the vibe isn't right, if my team isn't functioning right, if the other defense is on fire, you're probably not going for it on fourth down. The odds aren't there. So I think, like I say, the second one, you're down by 3 with 6 minutes left to go. Right. So you can almost say I'm going to get at least one more possession, right? 1 to maybe 2, depending on how quick it goes. So at that moment, I got to tie the game up and at least give myself an opportunity to draw this thing out and get it into overtime or something. If we tie the game up, if they go down and get a field goal, now I got an opportunity to go get a field goal or score a touchdown and win the game. But even if they go and score a touchdown, now I got an opportunity to go down and score a touchdown. And if I really want to have some big ones and send us to the Super Bowl, maybe I go for 2. Right? Maybe I go for 2 and say, hey, man, I didn't come here to tie and go to overtime. I came here to win the game. We went for it. We went for 2. We didn't get it. I think that right there, hey, man, that's how it is. But going for it 2 times on 4th down, now it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
So, but he'll learn from that, I'm sure, and I think the team will still be as good, if not better, next year. And hopefully they can make another run for it.
Okay. Well.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I'll take that.
So now I got 2 teams, and I feel like I can officially be a fan of 2 teams because the Texans are in the AFC, the Lions are in the NFC. I can be both fans. Those 2 great organizations that I played for, so it's not like I'm bandwagon hopping. I'm a Houstonian. I live here. I feel like it's only right that I support the team that drafted me. I wouldn't even have a chance to be in Detroit if it wasn't for the Texans. So I got Texans gear. I got Lions gear. They play each other this year in Houston. I plan on being at the game.
So here's the real question: who are you going to choose when they play in the Super Bowl next year?
Hey man, it's just gonna be a great day. I'm just gonna have me some drinks and say, hey, whoever wins, I win.
You're gonna have the jersey on backup, yeah.
Right, I'm just going there because at the end of the day, if Houston win, that'll be the first Super Bowl that they brought to the city, the Texans. If Detroit win, it'd be hey man. Obviously, like I said,
both seasons deserves it.
Right. And like I say, I think I feel closer to Detroit because I was able to be a good player there, right? Like statistically, I'm high up on the boards in Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yes, that gives me a name for the Houston alumni, but statistically, I only had 5 interceptions when I played here.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? So when you start looking at all time, I might still be the record books because I caught the 3 in 1 game. But when you look at statistically on the record books, I'm probably not high on the totem pole when it comes to interceptions. You go to Detroit as a safety, I'm number 1 on the board in the history as a safety. You see what I'm saying? So it's just different, right? It's just different. And I played there recently. So those fans remembered me vividly. Houston fans, some of them do, some of them don't. You know what I'm saying?
They found the age and everything.
Yeah. And I do a podcast, and it's on the Lions.
Yep. And your Pro Bowl with the Lions. So
and my Pro Bowl was with the Lions. I led the league in picks with the Lions. I was all pro with the Lions, right? So it's just kind of one of those things.
All righty, but on that note, we're gonna end the show. So, Mr. GQ, tell the folks where they can find you at.
Man, I'm everywhere, man. Well, I'm on social media. I do. I'm Glover Quin on Instagram, and I got all my different pages on there. I do custom framing, so I got a framing page, GQ Frames. It's a tag in my profile. I do some photography here and there. Kind of have fun in the art space. I'm on Twitter, GloverQuinJr. Yeah, check it out, man. I make like I had like fun on my framing page. You know what I'm saying? I do some, I think they're kind of cool, like little videos and reels and stuff. Just having fun doing custom framing, man. I frame like jerseys and memorabilia and like all this stuff that you see behind me. Like I didn't do this stuff, but this is like the stuff that I do.
Okay. Bo, tell the folks where they can find you at.
Oh yeah, you can find me on all socials at Bo Diggity 713. Y'all know the deal, man.
All right, Matt, tell the folks where they can find you at.
Before I do that, don't let Bo be modest. That boy is the best TikToker for Texans. So if you're a Texan fan, make sure you check him out. Some great stuff. You can find me at A1 Day 1 Texans anytime, brother. And I got a couple articles coming on Fan Battle Sports Network, so make sure you check that out.
All right. So you can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere. And Mr. GQ, I got one more question.
What you got?
Do you still be hooping?
Nah. At home with my kids every now and then.
Every now and then.
I just have that fear, man. Like I played 10 years. I was able to play every game except for one. Like I just don't want to be that guy that's out there playing pickup basketball at 38, 39 and popping Achilles, and I'm just Like, what in the world? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't have anything to prove, man. I'm not trying to prove to these young kids that I used to be who I used to be, man. Go Google me, bro. Go look at some YouTube. Go like, bro, I don't have to. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get caught up in like, oh, I used to be this. I did. You know what I'm saying? There's numbers that show how high my vertical used to be. I don't have to go and dunk to try to prove that I don't do all that stuff. I like to enjoy my kids and go out there and have some fun. So I run around a little bit in the back, but I'm not going 24-hour hooping and all that stuff. Nah.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. On that note, Matt, hit the bumper.
Yo, check it out, we reppin' for the Texans. Put weed in, Crenshaw